Are you trying to convert your break fix clients over to your managed services practice? Are you worried about losing clients if you force them to move? Well, that's what we're talking about on today's ramble. We're talking about moving clients from your break fix packages to your managed service package and all the things that go into it. So let's head out on the ramble. This is a very common question and thing that most MSPs run into, right? I was working with a fairly large MSP and think large in the $8 to $9 million revenue range MSP. And they still had about 5% or so of their clients that were using their break fix packages and they weren't fully managed, right? And by then the 5% that hadn't converted were sort of legacy clients or clients that they liked to hold on to. But you don't need to have 100% migrated to your managed package to be a successful MSP. The whole point of all of this is to move more into that monthly recurring revenue, right? Because that's the thing that most MSPs really are looking for is to grow that MRR. More MRR means more predictable revenue. More predictable revenue means higher valuations and all of those things. So let's talk a little bit more about what this looks like. You might wonder why you should be switching your break fix clients to managed services clients. And the short version is that there's benefits to both you and your clients to do so. When you convert your clients from a break fix model to a managed services model, it really allows predictability on your revenue for one, but also helps them have predictable outflows on their IT spend and their return on their IT related investment. One of the biggest benefits is by shifting away from the break fix model, which is inherently reactive in nature, over to a more consistent, proactive model, it allows you to get out of that kind of waiting for things to break and then fixing the things to working ahead and trying to do things like patching and looking forward to things like their account management stuff and looking forward towards those strategic business conversations that you should be having with your clients and really just delivering a more proactive version of your service to them, which ultimately might cost them the same or maybe even a little bit more. But the benefit to them is they're going to have a little bit less downtime and they're going to have more proactive management of their infrastructure, which means less drastic, bigger outages. Add all that stuff in together and it really helps their company have a more solid infrastructure. It's a tough sell sometimes, but it's an important one to be working on. Now, for you as an MSP, it really allows you to shift away from the work an hour, bill an hour, work an hour, bill an hour, where being more efficient and bringing automation and those kinds of things into your practice actually hurts you. When you shift over to a fully managed contract, it really allows you to leverage all of those automations, all of the standards, and all of the other things that I've been talking about in these videos to really allow you to increase your profitability while increasing the client experience. Increasing that client experience is really important because it just helps you hold on to clients longer, helps them want to give you referrals and all those other kinds of things. The more you can do to be proactive and to reduce all of their downtime and all of those things really has a long tail benefit to your business as well. And getting rid of that break fix way of doing things is a really smart way of doing that. The next question is, how do you migrate everybody over? I think the easiest way is to draw a line in the sand and say, from this date forward, we're not taking on any more break fix clients, and everybody that's new is going to get on the managed package, and you just move on from there. That's the easy kind of first step. After you draw that line in the sand, for new clients, you want to talk to your existing clients. I might suggest starting with your most active clients, the ones that are already spending money with you on a regular basis every single month anyway. They're already used to writing you a monthly check. You can just kind of streamline it and make it more even over time. You can really lean into the proactive side of all of these things because their relationship with you already is probably quite reactive. And they probably think you're doing all this extra stuff for them anyway. That's kind of typical from a break fix client mentality. The more you can kind of paint the picture for them that this migration to your fully managed package is really going to be a good thing for them, is going to make it a lot easier to sell. For your smaller clients, or maybe some of those sticks in the mud, the folks that really don't want to move over, I think it's perfectly fine to pick the low-hanging fruit first and then work on them over time. I don't think you need to concentrate on moving everybody over all at once. I don't think you need to enforce it right away and say, you're going to move or we're going to fire you, right? I don't think you want that. I'm actually not a huge fan of firing good clients that may just be on the break fix model, especially if you are in that, sub $1 million revenue range, right? When you are a smaller MSP, to a degree, most revenue is good revenue. Not all revenue is good revenue, but most revenue is good revenue. And as you grow and outgrow some of your smaller clients, that's when you probably have some of those conversations. But I'm not here telling you that you need to fire all of the clients that won't convert over right away. I think that's unrealistic and probably not a good thing for your business, short term, medium term, or even long term. I think it's important to have the conversations early, convert the low hanging fruit, and then keep working on it over time. When you force it to happen prematurely, that actually might cause you some pain. All right, so then let's talk about pricing real quick. I'll throw a link to my pricing video up above. But the other thing here is that there's probably some sort of continuum on this pricing side of the world, especially if you don't really have a solid MSP pricing model put together. One of the very first clients I talked to when I switched over to working for Pax8 was a very small MSP. I think they had literally 0 clients or maybe 1 client, and they're trying to figure out how to kind of build this MSP pricing out. And I said, time out. Like I think it's important that you kind of work your way there, but let's get that kind of base package figured out first. Let's get that your stack and all those things dialed in. Let's make sure you're making some margin on that, and then maybe take 6 months of the service that your clients are giving you on a regular basis and kind of make that be kind of that run, right? You just kind of average out that 6 months over time. And then you have ongoing conversations with those clients to continually kind of adjust the pricing. I think that is a perfectly viable opportunity for very small MSPs to kind of build that out, especially if you have very few clients. Because if you only have, 0, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 clients, you might not have enough data to understand how active your clients are probably going to be. So when you shift away from that work an hour, bill an hour, they're more likely to call you for more things. And that's perfectly okay. And you actually kind of want that because you want to solve all those issues and then they quiet down. That's kind of the whole goal. So just be mindful of that as you look to kind of get started there. I think there is an opportunity for you to set a couple different levels of pricing, especially again, if you're a smaller MSP. I'm a real big fan of as you grow and you get into that $2-3 million range that you have one single package. You're all in or you're out kind of an agreement. When you don't have that much revenue coming in, I think it's perfectly okay for you to start with a couple different packages. I like having that same stack for every level of client. Not a huge fan of having a, stack A and then like a cheaper stack B. One, it's harder to support because you've now added some complexity to things. Two, you've also created a situation where it's entirely possible that you've left some gaping holes in their environment, and that's not something you want either. You could even break it out where you do the base layer with where everything's paid on top of that. Then you have like a remote support only version of your offering, and then you have a kind of your all-in kind of offering where eventually the goal is to get everybody to that all-in offering. I think that's a way to do it that works pretty well. The more variances you have in your stack and the different service levels that you provide, the more likely it is for your employees to make mistakes, or for you to make mistakes, or for your client to come up and say, hey, I didn't realize I was going to get billed for that. And even though they probably did, they're going to fight with you on some of those things. Might not be worth it for you. So be mindful of those kinds of situations as you kind of get into that pricing side of the world. All right, so then what happens if you have a client that just won't convert over, right? You have a few options. Option one is just leave it and continue to support them the way you've been supporting them, understanding that it's maybe not a perfect agreement, and eventually that you're going to have to deal with it. The next one might be help them find another MSP that's willing to keep break fix people around, right? That could be a thing, right? And you just kind of hand them off to some other MSP that's willing to deal with that break fix stuff, and you can kind of, wash your hands of the whole situation. It's not entirely you're all in MSP or your client fired, right? I don't think I don't think it's that simple. I'm not sure that I would fire an otherwise really solid client that just doesn't want to take my fully managed offering, presuming they pay their bills on time, presuming they take our other advice, they listen to your technical advice and your security advice. I might let them ride for a while. The last thing I want to mention as it relates to all of this is that as you have a majority MSP client, right? Most of your clients are over on the MSP side of the world, and you still have a handful of break fix clients. You need to make sure you're taking care of those MSP clients kind of first and foremost, and that can be another opportunity to convert clients over. Your break fix clients, maybe they don't jump to the front of the line, right? That can be a challenge too, where I would not necessarily cater to those stragglers. I would very much cater to the clients that are in your fully managed package, the ones that really, kind of get that MSP side of the world. Because what I've seen happen as a client will call up and they'll say, "Hey, I got an issue," and you say, "Okay, well, we'll get to you, tomorrow or the next day, or we can't roll a tech on site." And they say, "Well, I pay you X number of dollars an hour," and blah blah blah, and they get upset about the idea that you're not just dropping everything for them. And you can say, "Well, look, here's the thing: is I actually need to put my clients that pay me on a monthly basis first. They are the bread and butter. We still respect your business. We still like you guys. We still want to work with you, but you guys can't jump to the front line just because you asked us to. Because our business model really supports this MSP side as a much more core set of how we kind of do all of the things in our business." So be very mindful of that. If you let the straggler break fix clients kind of pull you around, you might actually irritate some of your MSP clients, and that's not a space you want to be in either, right? The last thing you want to do is have a break fix client cause an MSP client to feel like they're not getting the love from you, and then they fire you because they didn't feel like they got the love from you. So with all of this, I think it's really important that you are planful and mindful, and that you have a cadence and a method that you're going to convert your clients over. Doing it willy-nilly, doing it kind of off the cuff is not a good way of doing it. That is a pretty easy way to lose a client or two or 4 or 10. So put together a plan for how you're going to have these conversations. Demonstrate to them why it's good for them to move over. Make sure that you have those conversations. Make sure you build that plan, and make sure you kind of work your way through it over time. And ultimately, you will end up with a very solid managed service practice. So with all of that, I really appreciate you coming on this ramble with me. I wish I was outside. The weather just isn't cooperating right now. Please click that like and subscribe on YouTube, and I'll see you on the next one.